Nothing's ever sure in wrestling, but it sure looked like the career of AJ Styles came to an end at the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. He is everywhere the Phenomenal One made jaws drop for nearly 3 decades. Growing up in Gainesville, Georgia, young Alan Jones was a pro wrestling fan, but he couldn't actually watch it much on TV because his family couldn't afford cable. He was also very active in sports. Unlike some of his peers, he wasn't entirely sure wrestling was his destiny. It was only after 2 of his friends started going to a wrestling school that happened to be very close to his house that he gave it a try. Once he got into the ring and realized that wrestling was something he was good at, the phenomenal AJ Styles was officially born. Styles made his debut in 1998 and wrestled primarily for the NWA Wildside promotion in Georgia. He quickly rose up the ranks and ended up crossing paths with the likes of Sabu, the Young Dragons, and even an up-and-coming R-Truth, where he was known as K-Crush. During his time in NWA Wildside, Styles feuded with Air Paris, and their standout matches caught the attention of WCW.
Mark my words, in the year 2002 and onward, you will be speaking the names Air Paris and AJ Styles with reference!
In 2000, Styles initially declined a WCW contract offer. He was happy with the money he was making doing sporadic indie dates and working as a water delivery man. Yet he and Paris finally did make their way to WCW in 2001. Unfortunately, just as Styles and Paris were starting to gain some notoriety as the tag team Air Raid, WCW went out of business and was bought by WWE. Styles worked a handful of matches, one of them televised, for WWE over the following months. The company offered him a developmental contract that would have paid $500 a week, but he once again said no. Styles didn't want to move to Cincinnati, Ohio because his wife Wendy was still finishing her college degree in education. Turning down that contract turned out to be a great decision for him. Styles signed with the upstart NWA TNA promotion in June 2002. While still working indie shows and in Ring of Honor, Styles became one of the first breakout stars of the promotion, whose early shows were all pay-per-views. His innovative offense made him a perfect fit for the company's X division. The division, full of young, athletic high flyers, was designed to be an even more dynamic version of WCW's cruiserweight division. In his first year in TNA, Styles became the inaugural X Division champion. From there, Styles frequently hopped to other divisions, winning both the NWA World Heavyweight and Tag Team Championships. But it was his work in the X Division that helped put TNA wrestling on the map. Styles won the Mr. TNA award for 3 consecutive years between 2003 and 2005.
The award is mine. The fans voted me Mr. TNA.
Styles held the X Division title a whopping 6 times, making him second only to Chris Sabin in the race for total reigns. The X Division was pretty stacked, with the likes of Samoa Joe, Low-Ki, Christopher Daniels, and more. Styles' matches from the early to mid-2000s, particularly the ones with Daniels and Joe, are considered some of the best in TNA history. Without Styles leading the division, there's a chance TNA wouldn't have landed its Spike TV deal in late 2005. By the start of 2008, Styles was a legitimate main event draw, routinely mixing it up with Christian Cage, Sting, Kurt Angle, and many more. Not even a full decade into his career, Styles was a TNA Grand Slam champion, but it wasn't until the end of the 2000s that the company really put their trust in him. At the No Surrender pay-per-view in September 2009, Styles won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, which was different from the NWA World title for the first time. He then very nearly retired Sting at that year's Bound for Glory and had an unforgettable 3-way rematch with Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels at Turning Point. Styles even had Ric Flair managing him for a brief time when TNA tried to compete with Raw on Monday nights. In 2010, Styles became the first TNA wrestler to top the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500 list, beating out John Cena, Randy Orton, and CM Punk. He was the first non-WWE wrestler to top the list since WCW's Dean Malenko in 1997. To this day, no other TNA wrestler has ever topped the list. In 2020, PWI also named him Wrestler of the Decade. By 2013, Styles had a new nickname, the Lone Wolf. In storyline, that was because he turned down an invitation from the ever-growing Aces and 8 stable. Between the ropes, Styles was as dynamic as ever. He won a tournament to face Bully Ray for the title at Bound for Glory and won the gold again. But that reign only lasted 9 days, because behind the scenes, Styles was on his own too. He just didn't see eye to eye with TNA's management at the time. Styles' TNA contract had expired that August, so he was working on a handshake agreement as negotiations continued. When Styles publicly declined TNA president Dixie Carter's contract offer, he was stripped of his title. This was portrayed on screen as a storyline, but fans knew something wasn't right. Styles returned a few weeks later, claiming to be the real TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He even defended the title in both AAA in Mexico and Wrestle 1 in Japan. Styles got an official chance to win back the title in an undisputed TNA World Heavyweight Championship match against Magnus at an Impact taping in December 2013. Styles lost, and that ended up being his final match in TNA. Contract negotiations broke down, with Styles later revealing that he was asked to take a 60% pay cut.
And they didn't say they were going to, well, the dates are not going to be as many. They didn't say that either.
Oh, 60% less dates. You'd be like, all right.
Plus the same amount of travel and everything.
After nearly 12 years of being Mr. TNA, AJ Styles was a free agent, and he was looking to reignite his passion for wrestling elsewhere. One of the first places Styles went to try to get the magic back was a promotion he was very familiar with, Ring of Honor. As we noted, Styles worked concurrently in TNA and Ring of Honor in the early 2000s, and some of his most memorable early career matches were in ROH. He became the first ever ROH Pure Champion by defeating CM Punk in 2004. He won the ROH Tag Team Championships with Amazing Red, and he had some absolute classics against a young Bryan Danielson. Styles had to wind down his Ring of Honor appearances as his TNA run heated up. So when Styles returned to ROH in 2014, it came with a lot of fanfare.
ROH, known for no-nonsense competition, the best in the world.
Styles also worked the indie scene, racking up matches against Chris Hero, Cedric Alexander, and Drew Gulak within a month of his TNA departure. Styles didn't win any ROH gold during his second run there, but he did have a cup of coffee with the FWE World Heavyweight Championship. In fact, he was the final Family Wrestling Entertainment Champion before the company folded. He also won the PPW Tag Team Championships alongside Tommy Swade, as well as the Rev Pro Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. While AJ was working in Ring of Honor and the Indies stateside, he was finding his new home promotion considerably further away, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. AJ had some familiarity with New Japan already. The company had a working relationship with TNA throughout the 2000s. Styles made his NJPW debut at Invasion Attack in April 2014, attacking IWGP Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada. Styles vowed to take his title and revealed himself as the newest member of Bullet Club. Prince Devitt was on his way out to become Finn Balor in WWE, so Bullet Club needed a new leader. Styles proved his leadership credentials quickly, beating Okada for the title in his first match as a full-time member of the New Japan roster. Styles took the Bullet Club to a level of popularity never before seen for a New Japan faction. It naturally helped that Styles, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson routinely made appearances in North America. But Bullet Club with Styles as a focal point became a cultural juggernaut. Styles had 2 reigns with the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. He also had all-time classic matches with Okada, as well as Kota Ibushi, Minoru Suzuki, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. It was hard to deny that Styles was the best wrestler in the world at the time. The Phenomenal One looked to have reached his final form. He was nearly untouchable, to the point where people still cite his New Japan run as his finest work. After just under 2 years in Japan, Styles wrapped up his blockbuster run with one of his best ever matches. He clashed with Shinsuke Nakamura over the IWGP Intercontinental title at Wrestle Kingdom 10 in January 2016, just coming up short. Styles said goodbye to NJPW and ROH Curtain Call style, and just a few weeks later, he was debuting in the number 3 spot in that year's Royal Rumble match. It was almost 14 years exactly since Styles had turned down his WWE developmental contract, and the Phenomenal One wasn't so sure the audience at the Rumble would recognize him.
Would they know who I am? I don't know.
They did though. He got a huge pop, and by the time he was eliminated, he was even more talked about than the eventual winner, Triple H. Styles went on to have one of the best first years that anyone has ever had in WWE, right up there with the likes of Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. He faced off in a dream match with Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 32, following that up with a pair of WWE World Championship matches against Roman Reigns. Those are all losses, but Styles got major wins against none other than John Cena at both Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. Styles went on to reach the pinnacle of the business that fall, dethroning Dean Ambrose to become the WWE Champion. Now calling himself the face that runs the place, Styles celebrated his first anniversary in the company by walking into the 2017 Royal Rumble as WWE Champion, dropping the title to Cena in one of the best WWE matches of the decade. Styles spent a huge chunk of his career as arguably the biggest wrestling star outside WWE. But his time in wrestling's biggest spotlight wasn't fleeting. He wound up spending a full decade cementing himself as the top WWE superstar of the modern era. Styles didn't slow down after his first year there, and has been impressing fans with his athletic prowess ever since. Styles ended 2017 as the WWE Champion once again, dethroning Jinder Mahal on an episode of SmackDown Live in November. Styles' second reign as champ was an impressive 371 days, making him one of only 5 men since the turn of the millennium to hold the WWE Championship for longer than a year. Styles had 3 reigns with the United States Championship. Styles also won the WWE Continental Championship in what was arguably the best match of the COVID era against longtime rival Daniel Bryan. Styles became a WWE Grand Slam champion at WrestleMania 37 in 2021, winning the Raw Tag Team Championships alongside Omos. Styles also had the unique distinction of being the final man to wrestle The Undertaker, facing the Dead Man in a cinematic Boneyard match at WrestleMania 36 in 2020. Taker even ranked Styles alongside Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart as one of the best performers he has ever seen. Though Styles had made clear that he was planning to retire in 2026, his career-threatening loss to Gunther at the Royal Rumble came as a shock to many fans. John Cena had spent the entire previous year on a highly publicized retirement tour. Styles seems to have bowed out much more quietly. That said, Styles had been on a pretty stellar retirement tour. He just wasn't really advertising it. In July 2024, got to travel back to Japan for a dream match with Naomichi Marufushi in Pro Wrestling Noah. For whatever reason, Styles is absolutely beloved in France. So when he faced Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental title on Raw in September 2025, he got a king's welcome. He even made a long-awaited return to TNA at Slammiversary 2025, and at their premiere on AMC in January 2026.
I'm gonna keep this short and sweet because we got some wrestling to do.
In WWE, Styles has run it back with old rivals, including Shinsuke Nakamura and John Cena. He had gold around his waist in 2025 alongside Dragon Lee as one half of the WWE World Tag Team Champions. Styles even attempted to have one final run at the top, facing CM Punk for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship on Raw in January 2026. Now that he's lost to Gunther, Styles sure appears to be done, in WWE at least. The Shaw Hall of Famer notably put his gloves back on after the match instead of leaving them in the ring, leaving some fans to wonder if he'll pop up again somewhere else. A lot of his old friends work in AEW after all, and if TNA comes calling again, maybe he'll answer. Based on his recent work, Styles still has some gas in the tank.